I've been thinking a lot about politics lately. Well, politics when it comes to storytelling, that is. All that media buzz around elections. Yeah, I've been avoiding that like the plague. No point in me getting sucked into it. I already know what I'm going to do, and if I tune in now, I'm either just looking to get upset or feel superior to others or whatever else the media is peddling today. Honestly, I'm far more interested in talking about ideas. Specifically, the idea of how we can portray politics in fiction. Fictional politics is like real politics, minus the part where you lose faith in humanity. It's full of strategy, manipulation, alliances shifting every 5 minutes, and all those juicy power dynamics. That's the kind of politics I can get behind. So, in this video, I'm going to dive into the art of writing politics in fiction and why it's one of the most fascinating layers you can add to your storytelling arsenal. But hey, before we get started, if this video helps you out or gives you any aha moments, go ahead and hit that like button. Not just because it boosts my morale, but because it helps more writers find this. And if you've got questions or you want me to dive deeper into something, hit me up in the comments. I'm always looking down there. Also, quick plug, if you're craving even more writing tips, I've got daily gems dropping in the community tab. Stuff you won't hear about anywhere else. So if you want more of me, and why wouldn't you, turn there for daily doses of writing wisdom. Alright, now that all the housekeeping's done, let's get into the meat of this. Part 1. Power is fluid. Shifting alliances. One of the first things to remember when writing political fiction is that power is rarely static. Your characters should never sit comfortably in their positions of authority or influence. Instead, they should be constantly navigating a sea of shifting alliances. One day, a character may be your protagonist's greatest ally, and the next, they could become their fiercest rival. This makes politics in fictions feel alive, full of intrigue and unpredictability. Think about it like this. In a real political environment, loyalties are often based on convenience. If someone thinks they can gain more from switching sides, they will. Characters in political fiction should be driven by self-interest. What can they get out of any situation? By keeping your political alliances fluid, you can create natural tension and conflict, keeping readers on edge, never quite sure who to trust. In practice, this might look like a character who strikes a deal with a powerful faction to secure their immediate needs, only to secretly negotiate with the opposite faction later on. This unpredictability keeps the stakes high and constantly evolving, forcing your characters to adapt or risk losing everything. Part 2. Every decision is a power move. In political fiction, nothing should be random or done out of sheer goodness. Every decision, no matter how small, should be calculated, serving a larger purpose. This is where the idea that politics is war by other means comes into play. Just like a general on the battlefield, a politician, or any character involved in political maneuvering, should always be thinking a few steps ahead. They should be asking themselves, how does this action move me closer to my goal? It could be as simple as a character attending a public event to gain visibility, or making a small concession in a negotiation to appear generous. In reality, they're always playing the long game, positioning themselves for future gains. By writing characters who are always aware of the political implications of their actions, you add a layer of depth and tension that keeps readers hooked. For example, let's say your character is a ruler making a speech about unity after a period of unrest. On the surface, it seems like a straightforward appeal for peace, but underneath, they are rallying their base, signaling to potential challengers that they still hold power. The audience might see one thing, but the other political players know better. The speech is more about maintaining control than it is about unity. This multi-layer approach makes for compelling storytelling. Part 3. Control the media and public perception. In today's world, and certainly in fiction, controlling the narrative is half the battle. Politics isn't just about what happens, it's about how it's perceived. The media, or any form of communication within your world, becomes a battlefield where your characters wage war through words, images, and public perception. A savvy political character should always be thinking about how their actions will be spun in the public eye. Are they releasing information strategically to weaken their enemies? Are they cultivating a public image that contrasts with who they really are? Perhaps they're using propaganda to influence public opinion or leaking information to the press to sway political rivals. This is where things can get fun for a writer. You can craft elaborate schemes where your political characters manipulate not just their direct opponents, but the entire narrative around them. One moment, they're playing the humble servant of the people. And then next, they're quietly orchestrating a smear campaign against a rival. The control of information becomes their weapon. Part 4. Tension between public and private personas. The tension between a character's public persona and who they are behind closed doors is one of the juiciest elements of political fiction. It's one thing to show a character making speeches, shaking hands, and playing the role of a benevolent leader, but it's another to peel back the curtain and show who they really are when no one's watching. This creates an inherent tension that adds complexity to your character development. Maybe your protagonist is a ruthless operator in private, willing to sacrifice allies to achieve their goals, but in public, they're a hero, a figure of hope and integrity. This dichotomy not only deepens the characters, but also builds a sense of drama as readers see how much of a facade is really at play. A character who is constantly navigating these two personas can be pushed to the edge, especially as the gap between who they present themselves as and who they really are grows wider. It's a fantastic way to explore themes of corruption, power, and morality. Part 5. Exploiting weaknesses. Know your opponent. Good politics, whether in fiction or real life, is all about knowing your opponent's weaknesses. It's not enough to simply overpower or outnumber them. Often, the best political players are the ones who find the cracks in the opponent's armors and exploit them ruthlessly. This is where your characters can shine as strategists. Maybe one of your characters unlocks a secret that can be used as leverage, or perhaps they find a way to provoke their opponent into making a mistake. By making sure your characters aren't just reacting to events, but actively finding and exploiting weaknesses, you can give them agency and intelligence that makes them far more compelling to read. The best part? These weaknesses don't have to be obvious. They could be emotional, psychological, or based on personal relationships. Maybe a political leader has a soft spot for their family, and your character exploits that to undermine their decisions. Or maybe a rival politician has a guilty secret they'd do anything to keep hidden. The more creative you get with these vulnerabilities, the more unpredictable and engaging your plot becomes. Part 6. Moral ambiguity. Navigating compromise. One of the most intriguing aspects of political fiction is the moral ambiguity that comes with it. Rarely is a political character's journey black and white. They must often make compromises that forces them to question their own values. What's more important, winning or staying true to one's principles? This moral tension is where politics really shines as a storytelling device. Your characters should frequently find themselves in situations where they have to choose between two bad options. Maybe they have to ally with a morally questionable figure to achieve a greater good, or they have to sacrifice an ideal for the sake of political stability. By embracing this ambiguity, you allow for deeper, more realistic characters who struggle with the weight of their decision. Politics is rarely a clean game. By showing characters wrestling with their choices, you create relatable, human stories, even in the most ruthless setting. Part 7. Control of information. Secrets, silence, and leaks. Information is perhaps the most powerful tool in any political conflict. In fiction, as in real life, the ability to control who knows what and when is a game changer. Your characters should be constantly dealing with secrets, managing what information they reveal, what they keep hidden, and what they use to manipulate others. One way to add tension in political fiction is to introduce secrets that could destabilize entire factions or governments if they were revealed. Your characters should weigh the risks and rewards of releasing this information or keeping it as leverage. Sometimes, the threat of releasing a secret can be more valuable than the secret itself. Leaks, in particular, are a great tool in political storytelling. A well-timed leak can destroy a character's reputation or expose alliances that they were trying to keep hidden. Characters can use leaks as part of a broader strategy, allowing you to introduce new conflicts and power dynamics without resorting to direct confrontation. Part 8. Balance power with vulnerability. While it's tempting to make political characters all-powerful masterminds, it's essential to remember that even the most powerful figures have vulnerabilities. Whether it's a scandal, a hidden fear, or an unexpected betrayal, showing these weaknesses can make your characters more relatable and your political struggles more interesting. Vulnerability doesn't just make your characters human, it also raises the stakes. What happens when a political leader's greatest secret is revealed? Or when they lose the support of their most trusted ally? These moments of vulnerability are where real drama lives in political fiction. At the same time, Power and vulnerability should be in constant flux. Characters who were once invincible might find themselves teetering on the edge, and characters who seem weak might find a new source of strength. This creates a dynamic, ever-changing political landscape that keeps readers engaged. Part 9. Time and Patience. Strategic Delay. Finally, one of the most overlooked elements in political fiction is the importance of time and patience. Not every victory needs to be immediate. Sometimes, the smartest characters are the ones who wait, bide their time, and strike only when the moment is right. In many political scenarios, rushing leads to disaster, while careful, calculated patience wins the day. Your characters can use time to their advantage by delaying decisions, letting crises build up, or waiting for their enemies to make a mistake. Meanwhile, the constant passage of time builds tension, as readers know that something is brewing beneath the surface. By contrasting characters who act impulsively with those who strategically delay, you create a tension between short-term and long-term thinking. The best political stories are often about timing as much as they are about strategy. And that's a bit of the art of weaving politics into your fiction. Now, I'd love to hear from you. How might you incorporate political elements into your writing? Share your insights in the comments below, and I'll drop in to give my thoughts.